My name is Sam Stewart. I'm a research assistant and PhD candidate at Newcastle University in the Institute of Neuroscience under the supervision of Professor Lynn Rochester. My talk today is entitled Out of Sight, Out of Mind, and involves investigation of vision and gait in people with Parkinson's disease. Now, vision and cognition in Parkinson's disease are known to influence gait. Robust research shows that cognition plays a role in walking and performing real-world activities such as walking through doorways. And emerging research also shows that vision has a role in walking in Parkinson's disease, as well as older adults when walking and performing tasks such as walking through doorways. But little is known about the online interaction between vision and cognition, and whether combined vision and cognition have an impact on walking. Now, one methodology that can be used to study the interactions between vision and cognition during walking is the monitoring of eye movements during gait. And this is emerging research in this field. Now, my PhD study has investigated eye movements during gait in 60 people with Parkinson's disease and 40 age-matched healthy older adults. Now, participants wore a decabilis mobile eye tracker, as pictured here, and completed several different walking conditions, such as straight walking in an uncluttered environment, walking through a doorway, and walking while turning through a doorway. Participants' eye movements were tracked during all of these tasks, and individuals performed single and dual task walks during all of these different conditions. Now, for those of you who don't know what a dual task is, a dual task is performing two different tasks at once. So in the video here, right in the center, you'll see a lady in the local shopping mall. She's texting on her phone while walking, and we'll just see her here walk. So as she walks, she's texting, and she's not looking where she's going, and ends up falling into the fountain there at the local shopping mall. Now, this individual obviously isn't very good at dual tasking, but you get the idea. Performing two different tasks at once. Now, individuals on my study performed the maximal digit span, so that's the maximum amount of numbers they can remember in sitting. They repeated numbers while walking, performing two different tasks at once, which demands attention. Participants also underwent a range of different clinical, cognitive, and visual assessments, from attentional CDR batteries, which involved button pressing reaction time tests, to judgment of line orientation, as well as clock drawing, and also static visual assessments involving contrast sensitivity charts and visual acuity to assess how sharp someone's vision is and how individuals can differentiate between the edge of objects and the background of that object is on. Now, results showed that people with Parkinson's disease had poorer cognition and poorer vision in comparison to the older adult cohort. And this was expected, as previous research has shown that Parkinson's participants have generally poorer cognition, particularly in attentional areas, as well as poorer vision. Now, as I said, individuals completed several different walks. So with a mobile eye tracker, so here we have some eye tracking videos. This is a healthy older adult completing a walk within the gait lab, and you see that they walk straight ahead in an uncluttered environment and look down to the ground several times as they complete that walk. Now in contrast, we now see a Parkinson's participant performing exactly the same straight walk in an uncluttered environment. And we see now that the Parkinson's participant doesn't really make very many eye movements at all and doesn't really look at anything task relevant, just looks at the wall straight ahead of them, doesn't look at the floor or anything relevant to the task at hand. And this is similar to previous published research from our group, which has found that generally Parkinson's participants tend not to explore their environment as much. But now we can see the spatial related data according to this. And this was reflected in all of the results, where we found that generally across all of the different walking conditions and tasks, we found that Parkinson's participants did not make as many eye movements as controls during all of those tasks, significantly during dual task. But we do see that with the application of greater environmental challenge, so with the application of a door or with the application of a turn, individuals with controls or Parkinson's individuals do make more eye movements, but Parkinson's participants across the board still make less. And this obviously has connotations for any trips or falls that these individuals may have, putting them at greater risk because they're not looking around their environment as much as healthy older adults, which may be not just impairing their mobility, but also putting them at greater risk of falls. And we see that the dual tasking actually had the most significant differences between the groups. And again, this has connotations for reduced mobility, because we know that individuals with Parkinson's disease have worsened gait under dual task. And we also has connotations for falls, again, because with the application of a distraction, an attentional distraction, individuals don't make as many eye movements, so they aren't looking around their environment as much when they're distracted, which then could lead to trips and falls within the environment. Now, how does this relate to walking? How do these eye movements relate to walking? Well, what we've found is when we've looked at modeling these relationships, we find that the eye movements themselves actually don't directly relate to walking characteristics in Parkinson's disease. So, and the same was true for visual functions of acuity and contrast sensitivity. They don't directly affect or relate to walking. However, they do indirectly relate to walking through attention. For example, poorer amount of eye movements made during gait is linked to worse attention, and then that also knocks on to gait impairment in Parkinson's disease. Similarly, poorer vision or visual functions relate to poorer attention, and that relates to poorer walking. So therefore, attention has a key role in vision, as well as the amount of eye movements and visual exploration someone makes, and gait as well. So we know that attention and gait are related from previous research, but now we're seeing that attention is also a core feature of other aspects related to walking impairment in Parkinson's disease. So therefore, we need to look at how individuals are exploring their environment when walking. And participants with Parkinson's disease and people with Parkinson's disease in general need to be aware that they need to pay attention to their surroundings when walking, as this will have a knock-on effect to the amount of eye movements they make, as well as how good their walking is. Now, just to summarize this brief presentation, we found people with Parkinson's disease don't look around their environment as often as older adults when walking, and this is particularly true when they're distracted by a secondary task, which is an everyday, real-world event. People with Parkinson's disease can look around their environment more often when faced with more complex environmental challenge, such as walking through doorways or when turning, and this is similar to older adults. However, people with Parkinson's disease still have reduced eye movements in comparison to the older adults. Now, poorer attention and poorer vision do impact eye movements and walking in people with Parkinson's disease, and reduced eye movements during walking may lead to impaired mobility and an increased falls risk for patients with Parkinson's disease, giving us a primary area to look at interventions that perhaps improve the exploration of the environment by improving the amount of eye movements participants make on key relevant areas to the task,